Hi everybody, it's Honest Sean again, and well, it's finally out in the open. Pennsylvania House Leader Mike Turzai came right out and admitted that the purpose of the voter ID law in Pennsylvania is to prevent Democratic voters from voting and to win the state for Mitt Romney. And that's the purpose of every single voter suppression act that the Republicans have passed in the states they control. There isn't any doubt about that. Rick Scott's attempt to purge voters from the voter rolls in Florida, it's about getting rid of Democrats. And as a matter of fact, there have been some Republicans with consciences who've said, no, we're not going to do that. In Texas, they've been so obvious about what they're trying to do. In Texas, their Voter Suppression Act says that a student ID is no good. You can't vote with that. But you can vote with a hunting license. Now, the Republicans have claimed that this is about preventing voter fraud. But when you try to get them to point out examples of voter fraud, they can't, because they haven't been. Matter of fact, the only proven cases of voter fraud on record have been done by Republicans. It's the Republicans that had voting machines with votes for George W. Bush already in them before the elections. And what would that have been? 2004, I believe. And the voting machines that were hacked in that election, they've traced where that hack came from, and it was right out of the Bush White House. In Michigan, it was the Republican election commissioner who was convicted of voter fraud. So, I guess Republicans know a lot about voter fraud because they're the ones that have been doing it. See, here's a fact. Conservatives don't like democracy. They don't believe in it. They like to talk about it. They like to talk about spreading it around to other countries, but they sure don't like it here in the United States. And all that stuff about the Constitution, well, they don't much believe in that either, because the Constitution enshrines our rights. As a matter of fact, here's a fact constitutionally, that if anybody tries to take away your right to vote, you have the right to defend it with force if necessary. So, since Governor Rick Scott has tried to take away people's right to vote, you've got the right to go to the governor's mansion and shoot his ass. I wouldn't recommend it, but you do have that right constitutionally. What conservatives believe in is they believe in winning. And they believe in winning in any way possible. And they've gotten a lot of help, like from the Supreme Court. Take the Bush versus Gore case. Now, up until that time, every time the state and the federal government were in conflict, the Supreme Court ruled for the state. But in Bush versus Gore, they ruled against the state. All of a sudden, state rights didn't apply anymore. Citizens United. That's all about winning elections for Republicans. There's no basis in the law for that. There's no basis even in common sense. The Citizens United decision only makes sense if you accept the fact that the Supreme Court, the conservative justices on the Supreme Court, are complicit in trying to rig elections. They want to hand the reins of power over to Republicans forever. And they're not just trying to rig this next election, they're trying to rig all the elections from now on forever. So the question arises, are independent voters going to take notice of this? Are they going to punish the Republicans for their attempts to end democracy in the United States? Another question is how many Republicans are left who have a conscience? Now, we know that there are some in Florida who stood up to Rick Scott. They have conscience. How many other Republicans are there that have consciences? Will they stand up? Will they say, stop, no, you can't do this? Will they stand up for democracy? Because let me tell you something. I haven't seen a whole lot of Republicans with consciences lately. Matter of fact, I haven't seen a whole lot of Republicans with conscience since the Watergate hearings. And that was a long time ago. Thanks for listening.